Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new podcast of wrestling vlog format. I'm trying something new here. Instead of straight audio recording, I'm just going to do stuff in front of the camera. Hopefully, going forward, I'll be doing the same thing for the front seven, and that I'll be able to do a bit more like this in these little vlog video formats here. So basically, everybody's up in arms over the Fiend losing to Goldberg, and honestly, at this point, do you not kind of expect it? I mean, let's be real. CM Punk lost to The Rock. Goldberg beat Kevin Owens. Kofi Kingston lost the WWE Championship in 9 seconds. 9 seconds. Okay? 9 seconds. So, are you really surprised anymore that the WWE would do something like this? I mean, especially when you build up such a character like The Fiend, where he's indestructible. Seth Rollins hit him with everything, including the kitchen sink. And literally, the WWE booked themselves in a corner when they gave him the Universal title. This is a character that you don't need the title around him. I mean, you look back at like guys like Jake Roberts, you look at Roddy Piper, they didn't need the belt. And the Fiend fit. You know, just imagine what would have happened if days after The Undertaker debuted in 1990, if Hulk Hogan went over The Undertaker on this Tuesday in Texas. If Hogan would have went over on that show cleanly, you take out the entire finish that set up the Royal Rumble that year, with Ric Flair winning the Royal Rumble and the Hogan Flair WrestleMania 8 match that we never got. But just imagine for a second here, Hulk Hogan in the peak of Hulkamania, winning and beating The Undertaker within months of his debut cleanly. Is The Undertaker really the legend that we know if they would have jobbed him out to Hogan in just like that? I mean, that's what you look at right now with The Fiend, right? The Fiend was supposed to have been this modern day Undertaker character, and essentially they ruined it. Like, here's the thing. Like, I know WWE has their movie studio, WWE Films. Like, to me, you have this Fiend character where you literally have something that you can build an entire horror movie around. Remember See No Evil with Kane? You literally have a modern day kind of Michael Myers type of character that you can actually build around. And build a movie series around, similar to what you did with Jacob Goodnight with Kane and See No Evil. So, you can do something like that, and it would probably be great, be an interesting movie to watch. But I mean, the mere fact that in the match against Seth Rollins, right, the entire thing is that he's indestructible. He is indestructible. Seth hits him with everything he has. Nothing works. And then the referee shows compassion for the Fiend, who is supposed to be this like horror movie character, which, by the way, how would that have worked if if you take, like, using the Michael Myers example, okay? If you would have took that and one of the characters was like, no, no, please don't hurt him, like, and showed compassion towards somebody that was trying to kill you, that would never have worked in those movies. Alright? Just like it did not work with the referee showing compassion for the Fiend. Like, he was already indestructible, right? So, it's one of those things where he's looked unbeatable. No, he didn't beat The Miz, because that was just Funhouse Bray Wyatt. But he beat Daniel Bryan in a strap match. He beat Finn Balor at SummerSlam in his debut. And to be fair, it seemed the next logical step would be to build him up, and then the guy who beats him at WrestleMania would get a big rub just from beating the Fiend, who looked indestructible over in the past several months, right? But then Saudi Arabia happened, and Goldberg beat him with like 5 spears and like the worst looking jackhammer that I think everybody would agree should have at least have been redone, or at very least you end it with like a spear or something. But that was the worst looking jackhammer that I've ever seen Goldberg do. Now, here's the thing. Where do you go with Goldberg, right? Because, okay, Goldberg, Roman Reigns, listen, I like the idea of that match. Don't get me wrong, I do. I think the match is compelling. I think the idea of these two facing off is great, in theory. And if you pay attention to the rumor mill, the idea of John Cena coming back, he comes back on SmackDown tonight, and John Cena basically coming out and being like, hey, I want to pass Ric Flair and be a 17-time world champion. And I want to enter the Elimination Chamber match to do it, and I'm going to go and face the Fiend, and I'm going to beat him. And then the usual, promo where all the guys in the Elimination Chamber match come out and have a problem with John Cena saying that, and they're going to be the ones, blah, blah, blah. And then Cena wins, and then essentially you get this whole story that essentially writes itself, where the title makes sense. You don't need the title for Goldberg and Roman Reigns. With Roman Reigns, you could have had Roman Reigns lose the Elimination Chamber match, right? So, let's say whoever's in the match, it comes down to Cena and Reigns in the end. So, remember No Mercy a couple years ago? Roman Reigns went over John Cena. John Cena would, in theory here, would have gotten his win back. He pins Roman Reigns to go to WrestleMania and face the Fiend for the Universal title. He wants his 17th world title. But, thing is, we know Cena's probably not going to win, because he's probably going to be, after WrestleMania, filming Fast and Furious 10, 11, 12, and whatever. And how many more movies they want to keep making in this series. But the point being is this. If you have the Fiend look indestructible for all these months, and you would have had him against John Cena, and you think about the character, right? The Fiend has been all about essentially going after all those who have wronged Bray Wyatt in the past. You have Finn Balor. You had Daniel Bryan, and you had Seth Rollins when you count for all the Shield and Wyatt family matches. And then it would have culminated with Roman Reigns, essentially, according to the rumor mill, with Roman Reigns winning and then going on to take the title. It's a good comeback story. He never lost the title. He had to forfeit it because of cancer. So it's a real good, feel-good kind of comeback story. Something that I think a lot of fans would have been okay with. But here's where John Cena comes in. Now, Bray Wyatt, John Cena, WrestleMania 30. John Cena went over Bray Wyatt in that match. And now you have a chance with The Fiend, where, again, as I said, The Fiend has been all about those who have done him wrong in the past. So getting that win back over Cena at WrestleMania, where the title is essentially on the line, right? John Cena has to go through this Fiend character that he's never faced before. I mean, he's never been in the ring with that type of star before. He's never been in the ring with somebody like The Fiend, right? So you build this whole thing up with Cena, won his 17th title, and people call him crazy because The Fiend's been indestructible and John Cena's on his hustle, loyalty, respect, like, I'm the one that's going to do it, I'm Super Cena, blah, blah, blah. And then you cement The Fiend at WrestleMania with him going over Cena with retaining the Universal title, and then essentially, all of a sudden, your storyline heading into post-Mania, heading into SmackDown on Friday night after WrestleMania, is essentially, if John Cena couldn't stop The Fiend, then does anybody stand a chance to beat The Fiend, right? You build up The Fiend where he beats all these people up, he's indestructible, then he beats John Cena and you cement the character, and then you have the entire storyline being where who can beat him? If John Cena couldn't do it, then who can, right? The entire story writes itself. That's the one where you need the title for. Roman Reigns and Goldberg, I don't think you needed the title for that. Yes, you want to get the title on Roman Reigns, I understand that. And I understand the whole comeback thing, but again, I think the fans have kind of warmed up to Roman. This isn't I feel like WWE got like cold feet with Roman going over The Fiend, because essentially I think they kind of had flashbacks to like all the years past where Roman would get booed out of the arena. But that was because the way they booked him, and they booked him in such a way that made the fans boo him. So it was really a product of their booking that caused Roman to be booed the way he did. And so now that the fans have kind of been lukewarm with him, and they've been doing a good job booking him on SmackDown, don't get me wrong. And believe me, I think he deserves a Universal title run after dealing with Shane McMahon last year. If you had to put up with Shane McMahon last year, I mean, when Roman was in that feud with Shane, oh my goodness. It was like, how do you give Roman... It's like, what did Roman do to be put in that feud with Shane? Like, he deserves a Universal title match just for having to put up with that. And I guess the same thing goes for Miz, because he had to put up with it too. But Roman's been out of the title picture for a long time. Basically, since he came back from cancer last year, he's been out of the title picture, and now essentially it's time to put the title on him, go back through. But I think they messed it up here. I think they got cold feet. I think they had flashbacks. They were worried that Roman would get booed for beating the Fiend because of how the fans perceive the Fiend and the popularity of the Fiend. And they got cold feet. That's what happened in Saudi Arabia. So they were like, okay, maybe they won't boo him if he goes after Goldberg or he takes a title off Goldberg. Maybe that's what they're hoping for. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out here, at what point does that match need the title? I'd like to see Roman Reigns versus Goldberg at WrestleMania, but it didn't need the title. It would have been like Charlotte winning the Women's Championship before the match against Trish Stratus at SummerSlam last year, just to give it a unnecessary addition that it doesn't need, right? Charlotte versus Trish built itself on, Trish being a Hall of Famer, a legend, Charlotte being kind of the modern day star of the women's division, 10-time women's champion, Trish 7-time champion. It writes itself. Putting the title on Goldberg would have been equal to putting the title on Charlotte or Trish before SummerSlam, just to give it something that it didn't need. Give the match the extra fluff that it didn't need. And Goldberg and Reigns, essentially, it writes itself, right? Like I said, I go back to John Cena winning the Chamber in my theory, where Cena wins the Chamber, he's chasing his 17th title, and Roman Reigns is sitting there after the Chamber, the SmackDown after Elimination Chamber, he's like, well, Drew McIntyre's facing Lesnar, and John Cena's facing The Fiend, so, what do I do for a match of Mania? And then he calls out Goldberg for a match at Mania, and you set it up like that. Just like how Charlotte called out Trish to have a match when she didn't have a title match going into SummerSlam. That was like so rare to see Charlotte not be in a title match when we're so accustomed to it and we didn't know what she would be doing at SummerSlam last year. So it made sense that she would call out Trish and try to, have a big match and everything. And you could have done that same thing here with Roman, where Roman's like, hey, like I said, hey man, I'm not facing anybody for the titles. Hey Goldberg, you want a match? And that whole thing writes itself, basically. And the most funny thing about this whole entire situation is that for as much as Roman has been Vince's boy for a long time, Vince was behind Roman, pushing him, and giving him the titles and all these opportunities, and the so-called Superman push that people say that he got, and essentially it's kind of like it's weird that Roman's kind of like, hey, I'd rather face the Fiend. He said in the interview that he'd rather face the Fiend. Bray Wyatt worked hard, and yeah, no, it's not kayfabe, or it's not in kayfabe, but he describes how Bray Wyatt's been busting his tail all year, and he'd rather face Bray Wyatt as the Fiend at WrestleMania. No offense to Goldberg, but I'd rather face the Fiend, face a full-time competitor who's been working his tail off all year. And then Roman says that, and then Vince is like, nope, not gonna happen, pal. So it's funny how Roman's just kind of like, hey, I want the Fiend. Vince is like, nope, you're getting Goldberg. And so it's just so crazy where things are right now, where it's kind of like Vince is just like, I'm not listening to you. Even though you're one of my golden boys and guy that I pushed and did all this stuff for, I'm not going to give you the match that you want. So, like, I mean, I guess that just sums up the booking, right? Of how WWE books things. But to me, here's the thing about pro wrestling, right? So we can suspend our disbelief for like 3 or 4 hours every week, right? Monday, Tuesday, whatever, right? Or I guess Monday, Friday now. Monday, Friday, pay-per-views, NXT. So we can suspend our disbelief, forget the fact that Goldberg's in his 50s. We can suspend our belief that Undertaker's in his 50s. We can suspend our belief that we see these guys come back and they can look as good as they did in their prime. And that's the beauty of it, right? That's the beauty of pro wrestling. It doesn't matter the age. You send out Goldberg, you send out Brock Lesnar, you send out Undertaker. You book them right, they look dominant. They can look as good as they did before, right? You know, look at Dolph Ziggler selling his tail off with those spears at SummerSlam when he faced Goldberg. Okay? So Goldberg looked phenomenal in that match compared to his match against The Undertaker, where it was kind of like, okay, he shouldn't be wrestling no more. But you paired him, but that match against Dolph Ziggler, where he just destroyed him and killed him, yeah, it made us believe that Goldberg can still come in WWE and kick tail at any time he wants. But the one time that we needed Goldberg to actually not look like the monster that we know him as, the one time when you do a jackhammer, you do a spear, and the Fiend gets up, and the Fiend keeps getting up. He doesn't stay down. He's still this indestructible guy. The one time we needed that to happen, WWE disappoints us once again. And I know everybody's already tweeted out their thing from yesterday. Essentially, typing in with their friend Mark and, oh, the Fiend is ruined, the Fiend is ruined. Like, I tweeted out just saying, look, my only reaction was that Roman asked to face the Fiend. He said he wanted to face the Fiend at WrestleMania, and Vince didn't give it to him. Like that's just like, it's like, wow. Roman's the top guy, and he was being billed as a top guy, the successor to John Cena, and then Vince doesn't even give him the match he wants at Mania. So barring something where maybe the Fiend gets the title back at Elimination Chamber, where we get a rematch where the Fiend faces Goldberg, and the Fiend gets the title back, and this was just done as a quick pop for the ratings for SmackDown tonight, but something like where, but just otherwise, man, this terrible, terrible disappointment. But again, should we really be surprised? Kofi Kingston, CM Punk, Kevin Owens, now the Fiend. They've all fell to the part-timers. And I guess from what I read, I did not watch the show, but Undertaker beat AJ Styles in 5 seconds. So, I don't know. So yeah, part-timers galore, right? So, that's my thoughts on The Fiend and Goldberg and what happened. Let me know in the comments below if you like this new format. Like the vlogs better than the straight audio kind of recording where I'm just kind of just talking into a microphone and you don't see my face. Thumbs up if you like this new format, and also keep an eye out for some of the front seven, as I will be bringing the front seven podcast back, as we will be talking about the NFL draft in the coming months as the NFL scouting combine is underway in Indianapolis, and we will see how mock drafts will change after the combine this week. And I will be posting a mock draft video after the combine before free agency, because I want to do a mock draft before free agency to kind of see where things are going to be and what I think may or may not happen. And also, I'll have a 3-year remock of or 3-year redraft, I should say, of the infamous 2017 NFL draft class. If you missed it last year, I did a 3-year look, regrade or redraft for the 2016 NFL draft. So go ahead, I have a link in that in the description below. Check that out. And I will be posting my 2017 redraft coming up. And that will be coming up sometime around probably mid-March, beginning of April. But it is WrestleMania season, so subscribe for more of the podcast of wrestling and the front seven, as we are in the middle of draft season, so things will be heating up on this channel. I've been your host, Money Mike. So, subscribe below, leave a like, comment, and I will see you later. And